because I've been reading about David and how he was a man after God's heart, and I just want to be, you know, that woman that's after God's heart. And I've just been learning, and basically where I'm going to come from is 1 Samuel 17 verse 48 through 15, and this is the New King James Version. It says, so it was when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hurried and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. Then David put his hand in his bag and took out a stone, and he slung it and struck the Philistine in his forehead, so that the stone sank into his forehead and fell on his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine and with a sling and a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood over the Philistine, took his sword and drew it out of his sheath, and killed him and cut off his head with it. And when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. Verse 52, now the men of Israel and Judah arose and shouted and pursued the Philistines as far as the entrance of the valley, and to the gates of Ekron, and the wounded of the Philistines fell along the road. Well, if we go up to verse 37, David's talking to King Saul, and David says in verse 37, moreover David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And basically what God showed me in that, because in verse 52 he says that basically the men of Israel and Judah arose and shouted, and then they pursued the Philistines. But what I realized was that the men of Israel and Judah, they didn't pursue the Philistines until David killed Goliath. And what that spoke to me was that there are people watching us, and there are people waiting for us to kill Goliath. They're waiting for us to go through what God's trying to take us to. They're waiting for us to get delivered in order for them to, you know, see that and see God work through our lives, in order for them to, you know, get saved and really believe in God. And that really spoke to me, because I've realized that, you know, a lot of people are watching me. Yeah. And here lately I've been really motivated to continue to seek God and continue to fight this fight, you know, no matter what I'm going through. Because, you know, there are people, my trials are not just for me, they're for someone else. You know, my deliverance is also for someone else's deliverance. And the fact that in verse 37 that David knew who God was, he knew that, listen, this is the same God that delivered me from the paw of the lion and the bear. So I know this is the same God that can deliver me from this Philistine. So I'm not worried about it. Yeah. And we got to get to that place where we're just like, you know what, I can't worry about this situation, because this is what God did yesterday. This is what God did 2 or 3 years ago. So I know he can do it again. This is what God did for my mother. This is what God did for my friend. So I know that he can do it for me. And that's just where I'm at. That's the place that I'm at in my life right now. Amen. And I'm learning. The more I learn about God and the more I dig deep into his word, the more I fall in love with him, and the more I figure out who I'm supposed to be. Amen.